The Scream Kings are in no way responsible for any encounters with the paranormal, extraterrestrial abductions, eldritch insanity, hauntings, hexes, curses, demonic possessions, cryptozoological sightings, or any loss of sleep from listening to this podcast.
This is the Scream King podcast. I'm Max George.
And I'm Nathaniel Darkish. I checked into the murders, and I checked into the 20-year-old boy who killed his parents and his 4 brothers and sisters. And when he was at trial, he testified that he heard voices in the house. He heard voices in the house, and the voices told him to do it. Now, I was in the house, and I heard the voices too. And I also felt their presence in the house. I'm telling you, there was a podcast in that house.
Oh, no, I'm so scared. I'm out.
All right. Welcome, everybody. We are very lucky to have a wonderful guest with us. We have Grady Hendrix joining us for the first time in like 7 years. You were one of our first guests, Grady. But yeah, let's have you briefly introduce yourself.
Well, yeah, like Rod Steiger and the Amityville Horror, I am a trained psychotherapist. Do I think my secular education gives me a right to question the church? I'm Grady. I write horror novels like My Best Friend's Exorcism and most recently Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. And I had a novella that just came out in the UK, but it's oozing over to the US called The Rednexorcist. But the reason I'm doing the podcast, even it's been a long time, not just to chat with you guys, is because I also do a podcast that's it's been running about the same length y'all have, but unlike you, I've only managed about 20 episodes. So it's Super Scary Haunted Homeschool, and this season, only the second season in 6 years, is all about haunted houses. And unfortunately, that means we have to talk about Amityville. So Amityville's been much on my mind lately.
Yes. Well, we definitely appreciate you being on. I have to personally thank you for Super Scary Haunted Homeschool, in that it actually made my life a lot easier professionally. Yeah. Just in that, so I'm an English teacher, and I actually taught a horror literature class, and I shamelessly pilfered so much of your research on vampires from your first season.
Oh, that's what it's there for. Pilfer.
Oh, I pilfered. I pilfered a lot. Yeah. So like during the couple of weeks that we were looking at Dracula, I had like a vampire of the day each day, and we were talking about different ones from different parts of the world that I mostly learned about through Super Scary Haunted Homeschool. But it's also just a delightful podcast to listen to. Very informative, very interesting.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of the Michael Myers of podcasts. It's very slow. It comes out once a month. It's very, it walks, it doesn't run, but it gets you in the end,
Mm-hmm.
Catches up. It's not fancy. It's just a butcher knife, and sometimes I'll hang you on a hook. I'm no Jason. I'm not going to punch your head off. I'm not going to put you in a sleeping bag and hit you against a tree, but I get there. I get the job done.
I mean, sometimes wouldn't we all want that?
just the base of the generic version,
Yeah.
And I'm here because Southern, what is it? I'm so sorry.
The title's way too long. Southern Book Club.
Yes, taught me how to be a good Southern lady.
Oh, thank you. Always happy to help.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think last time that you were on, the newest book was We Sold Our Souls. So I think since then, you've put out Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, Final Girl Support Group, How to Sell a Haunted House, Bad Astronauts,
Witchcraft for Wayward Girls,
and of course the Rednexorcist.
The Rednexorcist, yeah, which is weird. That was like I got notes. I've been trying to write that since like 2010 or something ridiculous, and it wasn't until these guys in the UK were like, "Oh, do you want to do a novella for us?" I'm like, "Oh, sure." And what I didn't realize is I gave them like a 35,000 word novella, and they were like, "We were thinking more like 8 10,000 words, like. So, but it came out, it's doing well, and it's a UK thing, but if people order from Blackwell's, they'll ship it without tariffs or international shipping or anything. But they're also about to release a new edition with an even better cover. So, but yeah, it's just, I just feel like exorcism isn't just for fancy people who speak Latin. Red have an exorcist too.
That's
and
my.
so-
You just gave us merch ideas. Is exorcism is not for just fancy people.
Exactly. Coming to a beer cozy near you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Rednexorcist. I thought it was super fun, super funny. And I mean, it definitely like has a very like Ash, from Evil Dead vibe to it, in the best possible way.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment any day. Yeah, it's just sometimes, I mean, I love writing in general, but it's nice to do something that's not like one of my novels that like, comes from a major publisher and like everyone puts a lot of attention on it, and to just do something that's fun where I can cut loose and just do crazy stuff and not have people being like, well, that might be a little bit over the top here. I just wanted to go nuts.
Yeah. And whenever you especially go nuts, I feel like most of your major books will have at least one section where you really just go wild. The Pumpkin section of
Sure.
How to Sell a Haunted House comes to mind. But like that's often what I enjoy the most in your stuff. It's just it blows my hair back, and it's just something wild and crazy. I mean, all of Bad Astronauts was also kind of that similar vibe, and it's just super fun. So
thanks. Yeah, it's it's like I feel like for the big novels, it's like they got to be paced, and you really want like people who don't like it all the way at 11 all the time. You want them to have a good time. You want ups, you want downs, you want quiets, you want louds. I feel like when I write novellas and short stories, I'm like, I can, someone's not investing as much time in this as a reader, so I can just go over the top pretty much as a starting position, which is fun.
For sure. And let's talk a little bit more about Super Scary Haunted Homeschool as well. So I guess
wait, first I need you to say that 10 times fast.
I know it's a terrible title to say out loud.
No, I'm great. I am not coming at you. This is great.
So, it is a mouthful.
Good. Super Scary Haunted Homeschool. Oh, I can. Super Scary Haunted Homeschool. Super Scary Haunted Homeschool. Super Scary Haunted Homeschool. No, see, yeah, I got 4.
Exactly. Yeah, here we go.
I got to 3. I was like, this is easy. I could do this all day, and I let my guard down, and 4 got me.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit more, just about. I guess give our audience the sales pitch, because I listen to it, so I know that it's great. But like, tell us.
It's it's funny. It is a slow production. So I started doing it in the pandemic because I had Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires coming out in I think April of 2020, and thank God my publisher stuck with that date, because it was like one of the only books published that month, because everyone moved their book releases later in the year. So it was great to come out, but I do shows instead of author events where it'll be like an hour show about haunted houses or witches or final girls and murder books. I sing in them. They're sort of, and they're a lot of fun to do the research for. And I had one ready to rumble for vampires, and I couldn't go on the road with it. Like, it was not going to happen. Like, it was a pandemic. We were locked down. So I used all that knowledge to start this podcast. In the first 5 episodes is really me. I mean, I'm in my apartment alone, doing the sound editing, doing the recording, writing it and everything. And around episode 6, I started working with Chris LaMartina of WNUF Halloween Special. And at the time it was Mike Wells doing the engineering. And now it's a guy named John Walker, because doing the sound engineering drove Mike over the edge and he couldn't handle it anymore after season 1. And I just realized how, I love audio. I just think it's such an underutilized medium. There's so much there. And it really, there's something very intimate about it. And there's something very low stakes about it, because the budgets are lower than it is if you're doing like a movie. It's smaller, it's more intimate, and it lets you take more risks and go deeper on stuff. And I realized that, like, okay, why not just do the whole history of vampires from the beginning to end, which I think took about 12 episodes. And it really did take me a few years to do. Just the amount of research, you guys know this, and a podcast, there's hard. Also, with Chris and at the time Mike involved, we were doing live. I mean, we still are, but we're doing music. We're doing actors. I think a recent episode we had 12 different actors in it doing voices. So we finally got to the end of season 1, and I decided haunted houses for season 2. So right now it's just wrapping up at the end of 2026. It's 10 episodes. And Amityville is an entire episode, unfortunately. But it goes right from the beginning to ancient Athens with the first haunted house, which is Athenodorus, and I think 500 BC or something like that. It might be a little earlier than that. Oh, 1000 BC, I think. Anyways, ancient Athens, all the way up to reality ghost hunting shows today. I love doing it, man. It's so much fun. And the research is wild. Like, I love doing research. And before doing the vampire season, I didn't know energy vampires. You have them, what we do in the shadows, where instead of sucking your blood, they suck your energy. That was a huge thing in the 19th century. I mean, a book called Blood of the Vampire by Florence Marryat came out the same year as Dracula, and it was entirely about an energy vampire, a girl who's just too much and she drains everyone. And like, people are like, oh, she's like, I'll babysit your kid. And then you come home and your kid's just been like exhausted to death by her.
I think the theme of this episode is girl, you're too much.
You're too much, girl.
Yeah, I love
just
that.
like the headgear on that babysitter in Amityville Horror.
Oh my gosh.
But
oh Lord, okay.
I know. Amy, I think. Or not Amy, that's the kid daughter. But anyway, so it's just so much fun to do the research. And like, there was this whole, I was never aware of it, but there was this real wave in the early 20th century. I think episode 5 talks about this, where Ouija board after Ouija board were telling people to kill people, and people were killing them. Like, people were killing their lovers, people were killing their husbands. There was a woman who, like, the Ouija board was like, I told your husband where there's buried treasure and he didn't share it with you. And she would like tie her husband to the bed and torture him with like a curling iron and stuff. And this like in the 20s. And like, he would then like, she'd be like, okay, I won't do that again. And then he'd fall asleep and she'd do it again. And like, finally he's like, I didn't have a choice. I didn't want to be tortured anymore. So I murdered her. Like, I mean, just, there's all this wild stuff out there. So it's a show that really lets me like go deep, and one of the things that's been really fascinating in doing season 2 with haunted houses, and we're releasing an episode a month, but how much Catholicism really informs our idea of ghost and hauntings. Like,
Oh,
famously, like Protestants were like, there's no such thing as a ghost. Like, Catholics were like, no, wait, we can figure this out. Okay, if there's a ghost, has to come from somewhere, but it can't come from heaven or hell, because the Bible has a whole thing about you can't leave heaven or hell. So then they came up with purgatory, and they're like, oh my God, that's where ghosts come from. Whereas Martin Luther and the Protestants were like, there is no purgatory, ghosts are a scam, the Catholic Church just wants your money. But what happened was ghosts, like this idea of Catholicism became this sort of romantic source of mysticism. Like in the 18th century, people really, in England, where Catholicism was outlawed, they looked to it as this sort of source of psychedelic mystical vibes and like the ancient past. You got all these stories about like ghost nuns and ghost monks and ruined monasteries. And when Henry VIII like took back all the monasteries, all these legends popped up that all the monks buried the treasures of the monastery to keep them safe. And so now you had ghosts showing people where this hidden treasure was. And that runs right on up through The Exorcist, which was a huge boom in Catholicism in 1973. In 71 when the book came out, but also in 73 when the movie came out, this huge resurgence of interest in the Catholic Church and popular culture. And then right after that, you had the Amityville Horror, which we'll talk about a little bit, but like Catholicism is front and center with Amityville, which I think they kind of copied a little bit from The Exorcist, but also the DeFeos who were killed in Amityville. They were the Catholic family on the block. They had a big statue. It wasn't the Virgin Mary. I think it was of Saint Joseph or someone in their front yard. but like, it's like this was about Catholics.
Well, I think that's a perfect segue. Let's talk a little bit about Amityville. Before we dive into the movie, let's talk a little bit about the DeFeos, because I think so often with this story, that element kind of gets lost. That
100%.
yeah, and like
this
this is the real tragedy here.
Yeah, so I've been kind of on a true crime crusade, let's say. And so Amityville in and of itself, what do you guys know about Amityville, right? Gun to your head. What is it about? Ready, set, go.
I mean, just the default is the the Lutz is getting driven out. That's what people always talk about. That's what people always think about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to participate in this because I know way too much about Amityville, but no, but I think Nathaniel's right. To a normal person, there were these horrible murders in this house. This house was built on cursed land. A family moved in, and they were 28 days later they fled in terror because the house was infested with demons.
Right. So we can get into this a little bit later, but I'm very curious. I've been watching a lot of true crime where there are family annihilations, and I think this is kind of our first, I don't want to say publicized, I don't want to say like glorified, but this annihilation of this poor family was something that went from X to K, and it just went crazy.
It really became like kind of a social phenomenon in terms of public awareness more than a lot of other ones, for sure.
So when we talk about the Amityville Horror, we talk about what the Lutzes went through, which is fine. Understand that they went through something crazy, and we can talk about crazy.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
It's fine. But I just wanted to give a little bit of a moment for the people who actually died there. There was, I don't know, a lot of shit that happened at this house, and I think we forget about it. So the father, Ronald DeFeo, he was 43, which is too close to comfort because I'm not that old. It's fine. He was the father. He worked at an automobile. Well, let's say that word 10 times fast. He was strict. He was difficult. We understand, maybe he wasn't the greatest father of all time. He didn't deserve to die with a shotgun. It's fine. His wife, Louise, she was 43. She raised 5 kids. 5 kids. Let's just put that out there. 5 kids in this house. She's a mother of 5 kids.
It's a lot.
I think we need to reflect on that in this house, before the Flies, before the Warrens, before the Lutzes, before the this, before the that, there was a mother in this house who had 5 kids, Dawn, she was 18. We've all been 18. She was at that point of deciding what she wanted to do. So we have an 18-year-old. We have her sister, Allison, who was 13, 5 years younger than her. In her teenage years, she was a teenager. Yeah, this is going to make me a little upset, guys. I'm sorry. Then we have Mark, who was 12. He loved football. He was a sports guy. He was a jock. 12 years old. Nathaniel, you and I have someone who's close to 12.
Yep.
And then a 9-year-old. We don't know a whole lot about him.
Just a little boy.
In his bed. Yeah, okay. let's remember them. Let's talk about John, Mark, Allison, Don, Luis, and even Ronald. Ronald, if you're a bad dad, you're a bad dad. You're a butthead. Don't think you needed to be shot while you slept.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times we talk about Amityville and we talk about the ghosts, the hauntings, the X, the Y, the Z. But we also need to talk about that there was a family annihilation that happened in this house, and that's important too. So there we go. I'm going to go cry for a second.
Well, and can I throw in something about the DeFeos?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, so what I find really interesting about the DeFeos is they were part of this. So they had lived in Brooklyn, and they were from a really tight neighborhood with lots of extended family around. Some of the members of their extended family, especially on Louise's side, were supposedly in the mafia, and that became after the murders. You know, people couldn't wrap their heads around, oh my God, the son killed his entire family. So there were all these rumors that, oh, it was a mafia hit and all that. But they were a very tight family from Brooklyn, and they were part of that exodus to the suburbs. I think they moved when John, the youngest, was born, and John was about 9 when he died. So they lived in this house on Ocean Avenue in Amityville, Long Island, for about 9 years. And they were part of this huge wave of people moving to the suburbs. I think Suffolk County, which encompasses most of Long Island, in the 60s and early 70s grew by something like 150%. And a lot of those people who moved, like the DeFeos, were Catholic. And so many of them moved that a new diocese opened up. And the diocese on Long Island in that decade built something like 28 elementary schools and like 11 new churches to sort of accommodate all these new Catholics. And the DeFeos were a success story. You know, they worked in the grandfather's Buick dealership. That's where Ron Sr. and Ron Jr. both worked. And their house, by a lot of people, people said they were a really family-based family. They kept to themselves. They did family trips. They weren't huge socializers, but they owned what was generally considered to be the nicest house on the block. It had a finished basement that was like a rec room. It had a heated swimming pool they put in. And just the year before, they put, I realized what it was, a statue of Saint Joseph in the front yard holding the baby Jesus, like spotlights on it, which is like such a great 70s New York detail. But they were a well-to-do family that was really living the dream. You know, you move out of a cramped urban neighborhood, you got a kid, your house is bursting at the seams, and you move to a nice house in the suburbs. They were really, you know, and yeah, the stuff about Ron Sr. having a temper, I mean, that comes up quite a bit, but there's other people who were like, oh no, he was a really nice guy.
Right.
Also,
There's always two sides, you know?
Yeah.
I agree.
And also, you know, just a couple of months before the killings, Ron Jr. was on his way with a bank deposit that was something like $17,000 in cashier checks and cash from the showroom. And he was like, oh, yeah, a guy with a shotgun stole it all. And like his dad was mortified because, you know, here's the kid who he got this job for, who was slack in general. And suddenly almost $20,000 of company money goes missing. I mean, I would say tempers might be a little high in that house.
Yeah. And yeah, and yeah, Ron Jr., so, you know, Butch. Yeah, it's interesting to see how, you know, the fact of the murders and how they happened is, you know, the thing that people talk about, that you know, no one woke up and things like that. But like, I think, you know, looking at him as a person and how he did have, you know, issues with being responsible, with anger, with drugs, with you know, constantly being in conflict, all of those kinds of things, you know, make this story, you know, kind of interesting to look at, because it's, you know, I mean, he was trying to just act like everything was fine, that he didn't murder his family, he didn't you know, go on the run, he's just going to the bar and just hanging out, and oh, what? Something's wrong at home, and so like that. I don't know. I find it just interesting that he had that approach. It was almost this very callous thing, and then later it's I heard voices, and so his story shifted so much over time in a way that
even before all of that, right? The Lutzes came in, and Warrens came in, which we're gonna get to.
Yeah. No, exactly. And also, look, I would suggest, I am not a trained psychotherapist or psychologist, but I would suggest if you murder your entire family, you're probably struggling with some kind of mental illness.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And I mean, did y'all ever read? I read a lot of the coverage of the trial. Have y'all ever read any of that?
Mm-mm.
I mean, Ron was getting up.
Yeah.
Ron was getting up and saying, like, threatening to kill his defense attorney, William Weber, in the courtroom. He was talking about going to New York City to buy hand grenades for self-defense because he believed people were poisoning his drinks at bars. I mean, he was just swinging all over the place. And there's a lot of, I think, circumstantial evidence, definitely not real forensic, but definitely circumstantial evidence that the Suffolk County Police Department, which was notorious and would later be investigated for I don't want to say malpractice, that's doctors, for abusing their authority and basically, coercing people into confessing instead of doing actual police work. They were investigated for this, and there were several cases around the time of Ron DeFeo Jr.'s trial that, were found to be really flawed. So there was police misconduct, almost definitely. Ron DeFeo was mentally ill and swinging wildly, almost definitely. I mean, the thing was a circus, and going back, afterwards and trying to say this was real, this was not, these were demons, these were not, it's impossible.
It's almost like we need to separate the Amityville Horror into two things. We have the DeFeo murders, which we could have like 4, 5, 6, 8 episodes on.
Oh, exactly.
And then the Lutzes, who came in and pooped on everything. And Lutzes, if you're listening, you pooped on everything.
Well put.
Because I think we forget that, any true crime fan is going to look at other things before they look at the DeFeos. And
can I just move nuts? Oh, yeah. I agree. And I'm really happy to hear you guys saying this, because I do feel like the DeFeos are the real tragedy at the heart of this and get so overlooked. But one of the things that blows my mind, and maybe this is a transition to the Lutzes, so reading the trial coverage at the time in the papers, one of the really interesting, it's hard to describe how, you were saying earlier about these family annihilations and how this was a particularly bad one. It is really hard to convey how intense this trial was. So when they delivered the verdict, the jury deliberated for 3 days before finding Ron Jr. guilty on all 6 charges of murder. Right after delivering the verdict, one of the jury members became so hysterical they had to be removed from the courtroom, and another vomited. This was this intense, grueling. I mean, people were weeping on the stand. I mean, it was a really grueling trial. And 2 weeks almost to the day after that verdict was delivered, the Lutz family moved into 112 Ocean Avenue.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Okay, fuck them. 1, 2. An 11 and a 9-year-old were killed with an axe. Of course they were disgusted, and now we're selling this online.
Let's go into the Lutzes.
So let's go into the Lutzes, and let's kind of maybe tackle talking about the film and also the Lutzes, or do we want to do Lutzes and then talk about the disasters of the film?
Well, can I just say one thing about the Lutzes that may just summarize them?
Yes.
So the Lutzes moved into 112 Ocean Avenue. I think it's
no. I want to summarize them first, Grady.
Oh yeah. Go for it.
Can I?
Go for it.
It's one word. Money.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Sorry, I just had to do that.
No. You're not wrong. I mean, they moved into 112 Ocean Avenue, and I think it was late November, early December of 75. And by the middle of January 74, by middle of January 75, they were gone. And that 28 days they lived in that house, 28 days later, they fled in terror. No one will ever be able to say what happened in those 28 days because it has been litigated and relitigated. The family members have sued each other over it. I mean, it has been the source of like multiple trials, multiple versions. The Lutzes have made different statements depending on what they're trying to accomplish at the time, George and Kathy. So if we just consider that 28 days, this black box that we will never know the truth of, and then you look at everything around it, and I think everything around it boils down to they didn't have enough money when they moved in.
Mm-hmm.
The house was a stretch for them financially, and everything they did from about 11 days after they moved out, which is the first like trace I can find of them in the public record after they moved out. Like people say what they were doing in those 11 days, but the only public record I can find after those 11 days, they were already taking meetings with people and trying to shop around their story for money.
That and the two families who lived there after they moved out,
Yeah.
there have been 0 recordings of any paranormal activity since they moved out.
Yeah. And the poor Cromartys, man, they're the ones who they moved in. And I think the Cromartys moved in. They were, what I love about them, they're the family who moved in after, and they're like known as the king and queen of the ice rink because they owned all these ice rinks in Long Island.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the DeFeos, they were like a really well-to-do upper middle class family that, that was a house that fit right into them, their sort of financial picture, unlike the DeFeo or the Lutzes, who moved into it because it was a bargain because of the murders. But the Cromartys, within a week of them moving in, I believe in 77, an article came out in Good Housekeeping that was all about, our dream house was haunted. And it immediately attracted all these tourists to their house. And just as that was dying down, the Amityville Horror book came out later that year in the fall. And then a year after that, year and a half, the movie comes out. I mean, these poor people, like, they could not. I mean, people were coming up and urinating on their house. People were driving over their front yard. It was wild.
And again, are they doing that because of the Lutzes? Or because of the actual family annihilation that happened there? Come on, people!
Nope. Thanks, Lutzes. And then, of course, the Warrens also took advantage of it. We can get into them later if we want to.
Fucking started on the Warrens.
Yeah.
Nathaniel.
And also, like some of the things that have come out, since the book and everything, and the Lutz's, children growing up and stuff. It seems like really what the biggest problem was, George, that he was, a giant abusive asshole. So
yeah,
that's fun.
Well, so did you see my Amityville Horror, the documentary Danny Lutz did?
Yes, and it was interesting. I don't know if I believe any of his claims about the supernatural, but it seems like he was deeply traumatized by the things that were done to him, very abusively, and that he was then told this is the reason that this happened. It was because of supernatural things.
Yeah.
And so having that in your head and especially at such a young age, I feel like there was no way that he couldn't have come out of that deeply scarred, unfortunately.
Well, and it's also, I mean, I agree with you. I think his perceptions of what happened there are really filtered through a guy who's had a tough life, who's lived in the shadow of this, who was, I think, 12 when it was happening, maybe a little younger. But when you look at the incidents that happened to him in the house and his siblings, windows slamming on fingers, kids being projected down the stairs by, being like thrown by forces. And even in the book, The Amityville Horror, they talk about, George and Kathy Lutz talk about being possessed by spirits that made them treat the children violently and beat them with wooden kitchen spoons and make them force march around the house for hours. Like, these children were physically abused. Now, whether they're physically abused by ghosts or their parents, you can have your own opinion about that. But like, these kids went through the ringer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is just a hideous thing that happened to those kids too. So, that really everything around this is like all of the real life stuff is just depressing and frustrating and sad and okay, well let's give ourselves a palate cleanser and mock this bad movie because it is bad.
Let's segue into
and the movie was a huge hit. So was the book. This is what's wild to me, is they were huge hits.
And I think it's because of The Exorcist, though. People wanted more.
That's probably has a lot to do with it. And it proclaimed it was one of the things that I think really helped propel the success of the book and the movie is George and Kathy, and especially George and Jay Anson, aiding and abetting, who wrote the book, was really willing to dispense astonishingly over-the-top claims, like really ridiculous claims of the supernatural. This was beyond some doors slammed and some noises in the walls. This was crazy stuff. And with a straight face, he'd say it's all true. Like, that is the key to the success of this.
Yeah, and that has to be the key, because Jay Anson can't write worth beans.
Although Jay Anson was going on the record saying it's got to be true because George Lutz doesn't have the brains to make this up.
Yes, that is, we could also say that about a lot of authors.
That's true.
Oh man,
I honestly and earnestly believe the success of The Exorcist and the movie propelled people to like want more.
Yeah,
we have it's less about a girl, it's about a house. What if my house is haunted? Blah, blue, blah.
What if James Brolin looks hot without a shirt on in this one?
Hot daddy.
Yeah.
NJ wanted us to at least say that he was hot one time. So NJ, we're listening to you. Here it is.
until the end, when they put him in that really terrible wig that's supposed to be him like losing control, and it looks like a weird fright wig.
Oh yeah.
Well, one of the things also I would say hats off to George and Kathy, and maybe Jay Anson too, because the level of craziness they dish out in the book and that Sim picked up in the movie, it even caught the Warrens off guard. And the Warrens at the time, they were demonologists, and they had become demonologists, or Ed had, in the wake of The Exorcist, like you were saying, Max. And, one of the things about the Warrens is they're now known as the ultimate sort of like over the top. They'll tell any crazy story. But at the time, they weren't. And when you look back at the stuff they said, because they were briefly involved in the house with a news crew going in, and they're like, oh, there were bad feelings. My heart trembled. And then they turn around and are caught flat-footed by George and Kathy being like, swarms of flies, Catholic priests running in terror, black poop coming out of the cellar of the toilets. The cellar has the red room, like, marching
spooky
band.
Boy in the hallway is proof.
Yeah, demons in the fireplace. And so a couple of years later, you have Ed giving interviews and Lorraine where they're like, oh, well, we didn't tell you about what happened after we got home to our house because the demons from Amityville followed us there. But it's amazing that these two consummate con artists were caught off guard by the Lutz's willingness to just go further than they had probably ever considered.
Yeah, I think they started and were like, okay, we have an opportunity here.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And they ran with it.
Oh no. Oh God, no. Oh no. Oh no. We're in it now. Here we are. I have a lot to say about the Warrens. It's fine. And this story, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, one thing I want to ask you guys about the movie is, so I hadn't rewatched the movie in a while, and I rewatched it for the podcast. And one of the things that astonished me is take out the fact that everything is weird shades of brown and beige and mildew, and it's a very ugly looking movie. But I was astonished how poorly all of it hung together. It's just a mess. And
Yeah.
it's like maybe in the book, the mess of it isn't so apparent. But what did you guys think, like movie-wise?
I mean, it just felt like there was no real through line, that like it was just things happening,
Yeah.
and there was no like connective tissue to them. It didn't seem to have anything to do like the haunting things in terms of like story. Okay, if this is somehow connected to the bad things that have already happened there, then why are these things happening like they are? You know,
Yeah.
why an axe, not a shotgun?
Yeah.
Why
Well, and I'm
why
sorry, I keep
flies?
going.
Why the weird pig Jody with glowing red eyes in the window?
Why Jody?
Oh
Which
Lord.
yeah, like
Ugh.
I had forgotten that you actually like see Jody as a pig, a giant pig in the window, until I caught that like 2 frames that she's in, and I just burst out laughing.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think I think here I go. I'm going to give credit where credit is probably not due, but people were trying to make something comparable to The Exorcist.
Oh, I agree.
We have this incredible book. We have this incredible story, a movie that like was groundbreaking, that made people afraid of Ouija boards. To this day, you ask my parents, who are very agnostic, atheist, do you want to touch a Ouija board? Oh no, we can't do that. We don't believe in God, but we can't do that.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to take the best things about terrible things and make a movie about it, because we have the axe, the DeFeos, sure, but the Velisca axe murders that have remained unsolved. We have Jody, this pig demon. What?
Yeah.
Red eyes in the forest, right? The flies, Beelzebub.
Don't forget the red room in the basement.
Oh Lord!
And also weirdly, it seems to give every member of the Catholic Church stomach, like intestinal distress,
Yes.
and they all have to vomit discreetly out their car doors.
Yes. Yeah. It has
was
to be
so weird.
censored for us by a car door.
And even that, the Catholic Church being incompetent.
Well,
And
also
so
the
we have-
Catholic Church. What's up with this insinuation that the Catholic Church is in some conspiracy to deny the house is haunted?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Also, the Catholic Church is the only authority that can ever exercise anything ever, but they're
Right.
always gonna say no. Just
Well, it's interesting too. Like, one of the things that's so strange about this is there was a real thing at the time about bad dads in haunted house movies and books. Like a few years, like one of the things that makes The Exorcist so unsettling is it's a prepubescent girl. Like it's a
Mhm.
little kid and a single mom. And there's something very distressing about seeing this kid possessed. In Amityville, the kids are fine. The kids are chill. They're at worst, the kids are, overly friendly to a demonic pig. Um, but it's George Lutz, the dad, who's the bad guy, who's a danger to his family. If you look at Robert Marasco's Burnt Offerings from 73, I believe, that's a movie and a book where the house possesses the dad and he rapes his wife and tries to drown his son and bullies him. The Shining, which came out around the same time, is all about
Yeah.
the worst dad imaginable who's a danger to his
Uh-huh.
family. A year afterwards, The Changeling with George C. Scott would come out, and it's about a bad adoptive dad who brings a kid into his house and abuses the kid, and the kid's ghost haunts him. Like, bad dads were this thing in haunted houses at the time, which, I don't know, man. I feel like The Exorcist did it better.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. It had a story. It had a
Also
plot.
that.
It made us connect with Reagan, her mother, the things that are going around. They were humans with weaknesses.
Well, and also it made sense.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
you guys keep pointing out, none of these things have to do with each other in this.
Yeah, like and there's so many like little actions that make zero sense. Like okay, George is at the library looking for information. He grabs some random book, shoves it down his pants. He doesn't check it out.
Right.
And smuggles it out.
Maybe he was into that.
That's how bad he is. He doesn't even check out books.
I put books in my pants.
Yeah.
I love him on his motorcycle, like this macho hottie.
Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure his contract must have been like, you have to make me look as good as possible, as dreamy as possible, for at least 95% of the movie, and also, like I have to be in most of the shots, even though like it would be more interesting to maybe show things happening to other members of the family. Nah, we're just gonna have him with like really like red rimmed eyes and just acting twitchy in the middle of the night.
They really do Margot Kidder dirty. Like she's actually quite charming in the movie, and she doesn't get a lot
beautiful.
To do.
Beautiful.
Yeah. We get a much more impressive horror performance out of her in Black Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, like I felt like half of this movie was just padding. It was just padding the runtime, and I'm like, why are you padding it this much? This does not need to be 2 hours long. You could have made this 90 minutes long.
Yeah, so I watched the 2005 version as well with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, how's that hold up? I didn't see it since it was released. Oh boy,
it's a movie.
Hey, that's happens. More than we can say about this one.
I saw Ryan Reynolds' butt, so we're good.
I remember his abs being exceptionally ripped in that.
Oh my god. I'm glad he has matured as an actor. Let's say that. Because I think there are two different things. I think the original had so much padding, and then in the 2005 version, they were just like, okay, house, haunting, it happens. Here we go. Where's like the medium? Where's the medium? And again, I don't want to go back to The Exorcist. I'm gonna do it. We got to know who the characters were before the horror actually began. And I think the 2005 version and the original just didn't hit the mark. And I think in part it's because the Lutzes were shitbags and the Warrens are shitbags of trying to dramatize something that just wasn't really human. There's no humanity. I don't know.
I agree, and I would posit that there's no humanity because most of this was just made up.
Yeah, and not even like by someone who's a competent storyteller. Like again, give me some connective tissue, give me some foreshadowing, give me something to sink my teeth into as a writer. As someone who consumes stories. Like, give me A leads to B leads to C instead of just random nonsense. Margot Kidder with pigtails. It was definitely like, okay, someone really has a strong, school girl fetish. We're gonna have that. We're gonna have the weirdest camera angles out of like car windows a lot. We're gonna have weird, sinister zooms in on random furniture, like a sinister zoom in on a couch.
We're gonna have. Don't forget the music.
Oh yeah, the score goes super intense for no reason.
Oh yeah, really, it's very intense Lalo Schifrin score.
Yeah, we have a cop who's investigating this whole thing when nothing has happened yet. We have
which I think is right out of The Exorcist.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right. Thank you.
And then we have, and then we have this priest who is continuing to be assaulted by the horror from a distance for no real reason. It's not like he was being helpful at all anyway, but now he's just struck blind and is going to sit dramatically and sulk.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the weird things too, just mentioning Jay Anson. Jay Anson, and I wish I had my notes with me because I cannot remember the name of the priest, but Jay Anson got the gig of writing the Amityville Horror book or ghostwriting the Amityville Horror book because he worked for a company that did behind the scenes documentaries. Like, you'd show them on TV, right? I mean, I think we all probably caught these when we were kids, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, a half-hour promo behind the scenes. And he had done the one for The Exorcist. and he spent some time on the Exorcist set and met one of the priests there who was a consultant on the Exorcist, and they were going to write a book about exorcism together, and possession. And then the guy who wound up getting it was a textbook company, I think Prentice Hall, that the Lutzes went to try to sell the book of the Amityville Horror. And the editor was like, oh, I know Jay, and Jay was going to think about doing something like this. I'll hook these guys up. So The Exorcist is really what we can blame for all of this.
Mm-hmm. Which is sad, because Exorcist didn't hurt nobody.
No, I know. It's good.
Yeah.
It's not really based on a true story, really.
Yeah. I feel like another thing I want to mention for this being so bad too was that all of the dialogue was like, as you know, Bob dialogue. Like, well, honey, let's talk about the thing that we already have explained to each other and that the audience already knows. We're going to restate it because our audience is apparently really stupid.
Oh yeah.
Like yeah, it was just like insulting the whole time. I'm like, why is it this bad?
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that is going to blow your minds about the Amityville Horror, I mean, you probably already know this, but first off, not only was it the number 2 highest grossing movie of the year, it spawned numerous sequels. I mean, at this point, because it's considered, George Lutz won a court case saying that it was based on true events. So that means anyone can make an Amityville movie because it was based on true events. You can't copyright it. Which is why we have like Amityville Asylum and Amityville in Space and Amityville, all that. But the premiere of the Amityville Horror was opening night of a retrospective of Roger Corman's AIP production company, which made Amityville Horror, which was his exploitation movie company, at the Museum of Modern Art. And it was this star-studded red carpet affair where all these people walked a red carpet and got their paparazzi pictures. All the Museum of Modern Art patrons showed up and they sat down and watched the Amityville Horror.
Oh man, that is a tragedy. That is hilarious.
Yeah. This movie was huge. The book was huge. It is, they really changed the shape of haunted house books and movies for a while to come, with this idea of, you say it's all based on a true story. You say it's demons, not really ghosts. That became a big part of it. And, it doesn't have to make a whole lot of sense. Just say it's true.
It gave the framework for other things too. The flies, the red room, the burial grounds, the
Indian burial grounds. Repeated again and again after this.
Yep.
Yeah. When did Poltergeist come out?
Early 80s after this.
Yeah, and Poltergeist. It wasn't until Poltergeist 2 that they had the Indian burial grounds. So
yeah, Poltergeist 1 was it was a burial ground where they moved the markers but not the coffins.
It was still a burial ground, guys.
But it wasn't. Amityville also popularized this notion that I go on about it a lot in the podcast. So if you want to hear me ramble about it more, that's where to go. But this idea of a haunting being like a toxic waste site, it's like so much toxic waste has been dumped in this place for so many years that no one can live here anymore. The ground has gone bad. The water's bad. The air's bad. This site is polluted. With Amityville, this was almost the first time people were like, so first there were the Shinnecock Indians and there were demons here already, but they brought even more demons because they were all dying and going insane here. Then there was a guy named Jack Ketchum from Salem who built his house here and worshiped Satan. Then there were the DeFeo murders. Now there's the Lutzes. Like this idea that so many bad things have happened on this piece of ground. It's supernaturally polluted. Which is Amityville really is the one that popularized that notion that a haunting is because you're on a piece of ground where everything bad has happened.
Oh man. I feel so bad for that.
That's actually like kind of a cool idea. Let's get a horror movie, a haunted house idea where the ground has had so much tragedy. There's been so much death or X, Y, or Z that it's now like become alive. I think that's cool.
Well, that kind of
Let's-
is what Amityville's saying, right? Like, I mean, it's a bit like The Shining. The Overlook is such an evil place where so much bad stuff has happened that it draws more bad stuff to it.
Or Max, are you saying that it's
The dirt?
that it should be the dirt now?
That would be cool.
Let's just
Yeah.
do it better. That's my directorial
Fair.
advice is let's do it better, everybody.
I think that is something everyone can take to heart here. Amityville sets a low bar, but let's do better than that.
Yeah, for real.
Yes.
What I feel like we've been ragging on it for a while, Nathaniel and Grady. What did we like about this film as a film?
I mean, Brolin and Kidder, I think they're really slumming it here. They deserve better. And I will say, the house is iconic, man. The design of that house with those two windows.
Yeah.
You can't do it better. Show me that house with red light coming out those windows. And that's one of the most iconic horror images of the 20th century because it's good.
Did you know they changed the windows? They've completely redone
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want people taking pictures all the time.
Yeah, I don't blame them, but I agree that is like up there with the ski mask or the Freddy Krueger claws, whatever. That is iconic.
Oh yeah.
Other notable things I thought were worthwhile was really just like the idea of like waking up at that same time every night was kind of a fun one. You know,
and that's something people have used from this a lot. That gets recycled a lot. Yeah, it works.
Dear Jesus and Satan, it's fine. It's fine. We'll talk about it. It's fine.
I mean, at least it makes an interesting, iconic idea there.
Oh yeah, I agree.
The flies were. Yeah. I mean, I liked that it was practical. That they just dumped a butt ton of flies and literally I think they smeared like honey or something on the actors to get the flies to land on them.
Yeah,
that's kind of fun.
Jody was kind of creepy too. There were some scenes with like the red eyes flickering in the distance that everyone doesn't want to see that in the dark, right? That was good. That was good.
Yeah. Also, I have to say, even though it had popped up in some short stories before, and maybe a Twilight Zone episode, this idea that a kid has an imaginary friend and everyone's like, oh, yeah, and then you discover it's a ghost, that's something that's had a life outside the Amityville Horror that I think it really might be ground zero for.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're taking the Amityville Horror because it's quote unquote a real true story, and we are looking at it through a lens of modernism, right? At the time, this was probably really terrifying, but we have 40, 50 plus years to look back on it and be like, okay, this is shit.
I don't know. I just feel like
I don't know.
Like if it were more competently made, then I would agree with you. But I feel like, just the inability to even like intercut, scenes in a way that made sense or connect the dots. I don't know. Just the fact that like this is on the tail end of things like The Exorcist tells me like there are good, competent filmmakers that were doing better things before this. So I just feel like this is the bad knockoff copy, and it's just bad in every way, regardless.
No, that's a good.
But I do think I think though there are parts of it that it was such a huge hit that things from it really do resonate and continue to resonate and get recycled and reused. Like you said, the swarm of flies, the imaginary friend thing, people in a haunted house, 3 a.m. And I also think the front of the house, the facade being intimidating, being sort of like a face or something comes from here.
The house being its own character, I think, right?
Yeah. Like its own physical character in the movie. And I also think, I remember, I was alive when this was on broadcast TV the first time. I was only like 7. But I remember, the book was out in paperback and my sisters wouldn't have it in the room. Like if they were going to bed while they were reading it, they'd put it in another room face down. One of the things with Amityville that makes it so famous is everyone kept saying this really happened. And when you read the press coverage at the time, every movie review starts out with the scariest movie of the year and even scarier because it's real. We just got this drilled into our heads. This happened.
Yep.
Well, and I think it is a twin to The Exorcist of kind of launching us into the 80s, which
Mhm.
some would say is the golden era of horror, right? We have all of these tropes that have been developed. We have the haunted house, we have the possessed person. Let's go. Let's take what we have established and make it bigger.
Yeah.
And
Well, and we
so
got better special effects now. Like we can really,
yeah. So, you know, I have to give it credit there because the tropes in Amityville have persisted, and I think it would be a discredit to it to say like, oh, its tropes are not as significant as the tropes in The Exorcist, but they're kind of the same.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, what
and-
was interesting to me is before we did this podcast, I sort of went back and looked at a bunch of reviews for The Exorcist. And one of the things that's really interesting, because I was curious if it, that story about it being based on that 1949 exorcism, I was like, did that come later? Every single review I read said it's also based on a true story. Now, it wasn't in the
Right.
first paragraph the way it is with Amityville, but in there, and if you look at an old Exorcist press kit from the movie, they all have a page on the real story. And so,
I was traveling for work and I looked up like cool places to visit, horror related, and the Exorcist house was one of them. So I drove by, the quote unquote Exorcist house. I'm so sorry if the people are listening and they saw a creepy person with a lot of freckles in their driveway. But like, I agree with you. It's, yeah.
Yeah, so it's Exorcist said it was all true, but I feel like The Exorcist is just a better book and a better movie. This basically all hinges on the it's all true, and that was tremendously effective.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we even see echoes of that with things that don't purport to be true, but still have that truthiness to it, like Blair Witch Project, in the 90s and all that, or it feels real enough that people will whisper, yeah, they haven't found them, and as if it's all real. Like if we can suspend our disbelief with this kind of story, then it's that much more exciting, kind of no matter how it gets packaged. And I think a lot of smart filmmakers, or at least smart marketing people, do a really good job of giving us that feeling, that idea, whether that's just by telling us overtly this really happened, or just making it feel like it's true. And oh, hey, like those actors aren't on the press tour because, well, they disappeared in the woods.
Well, and think about how much of horror, I mean, I feel like horror has always been, more than any other genre, oh, this really happened to my cousin, or we sit around the campfire and tell ghost stories. We don't sit around the campfire and tell action adventure stories or sci-fi stories. So that's always been a part of horror, but I do feel like at some point in the 70s, between The Exorcist and Amityville, that just got supercharged.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think we've talked about this from a bunch of different angles, and we don't want to take up too much of your day, Grady. So let's talk about how we would rate this movie. So both in terms of how scary it is. So that's our Screams scale. So just 1 to 10. Is this not scary at all with a 1, or I'm never going to sleep again with a 10? Max, do you want to go first? How scary was this movie?
Well, I want to. Sorry, I've been sitting on an egg over.
Oh,
here.
okay. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So let's look at Amityville. There was a family annihilation. The family annihilation caused a horror story, a ghost story, possession story, whatever we want to call it. We have had more of these.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an isolated event. I mean, Utah alone, we have the, Chad and Lori Daybell story. And Grady, I think what you just said, it was the unknown that this is a true story. And
Mhm.
so we're thinking, oh my gosh, is it?
Right.
Has the internet killed the haunted house or the like haunted family vibe? That now we have all of this information that we can look on and review it. And as someone who's obsessed with true crime, everything that we've been talking about kind of fizzles away as far as horror goes because it's, you know what I mean?
Mhm. We can
Well,
fact check everything. We can.
but creepypasta is huge.
Fair. No,
And like a
creepypasta's
big part of
great.
creepypasta is trying to appear real, right? The more authentic you make it seem, the more successful it is.
But creepypasta is based in fiction.
Right.
Mhm.
We have fact. So Lori Daybell, Chad Daybell, 2 children were murdered because of religious beliefs. Are we going to have 20 years in the future an Amityville Horror about a religious killing of 2 children?
And it might even be, just saying the names, or someone's living in their house now.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. Are we? Or what do you guys think?
Probably.
I wouldn't put it past the world. The world is so fallen and terrible. I wouldn't put it past it.
Yeah, I don't want that to be the case. I think we have a lot of amazing people that are doing interesting work that can be more fictional and can maybe give us more fresh, interesting takes on things like the haunted house story. And so I think.
Let me interject because this is part of my staying spooky.
Yes.
I've been watching and I've read the Idaho 4 murders.
Mm-hmm.
4 college individuals were murdered out of nowhere in their Idaho college dorm.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Why aren't we going to it was demons? It was ghosts. It was someone possessed by the devil. It was someone consumed by the evil at that location. 4 people died. Why are we so keen to forget about the DeFeos? I don't know. You guys, maybe I'm just blowing in the wind.
Just to throw something in there, when you talk about like, will there be a fictionalized version or a ghost story of these kids' murder? I would suggest that I think a lot of true crime entertainment, you've got reenactments, you've got actors portraying the characters, you've got reconstructions. And I feel like in a way, and it really does follow a lot of true crime, a classic kind of 3-act structure. In a way, making a true crime product these days, whether it's a podcast or, which all sort of follow in the footsteps of Serial to some extent, or it's a TV documentary or something like that, it really does require, to some extent, taking some fictionalizing liberties with the original story. And so I do think in that way, that's kind of become what horror paperbacks like the Amityville Horror were in the 70s. But I also think, you're talking about why aren't we saying demons did that in the case of the Idaho 4? People are. There is a big part of this country that believes in spiritual warfare, that demonic possession is real, that demons, possess people and cause them to commit crimes. And I feel like the reason we aren't seeing it is because religion's a lot more factionalized than it used to be. Like in the 70s, pretty much everyone went to church on Sunday, unless you were a Christian. These days, it's like, we go to a Unitarian church, and so I feel like, but there are people who believe that. I don't think it's a majority, but there are people who do believe that crimes are caused by demonic possession still.
Yeah, and I think we hear those kinds of claims still in certain places if they think that it will be a good defense.
Oh, also that, yeah.
Yeah, if it can, get them the insanity plea, if it can get them off the hook or lessen their sentence, I think that's when it does come up. especially if they can, do some digging and go, oh, well, there was a murder here before, so thus, this other thing.
Okay.
And
Well, and also the Warrens, they're the heart of the Conjuring universe. And the Conjuring universe is all about saying these real life things were caused by demons.
mhm.
So, you two are authors.
So they tell me.
Yeah. I've read like how many of your books, Mr. Grady?
Whole bunch.
Idaho 4. Someone comes to you and says there was a demon at this place. Let's make a story about it. So take the Lutzes and use the DeFeo story to create a book. Do you think, not would you write it for ethical reasons, but do you think that would sell in 2026?
Nathaniel, what do you think?
I think you could definitely sell it. I don't know if it would sell anywhere near as well, but I think it would be sellable. Especially like you find the right like small indie publisher who's with questionable morals, and yeah, you can definitely get it out there. And I think
that's not the heart of my question. Do you think it would be successful?
Not nearly as successful, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I think also you wouldn't find, I think Nathaniel's right. You would have to find a small press, because I think legal departments at major publishers are a lot more vigilant and have a lot more sway these days than they used to. But would it be popular? I don't think so. I just not in the same way, maybe with a small faction. However, if you took the Idaho 4 and published a book that said, this book is all about how a conspiracy of elite cultists who, like QAnon kind of thing. That was what did this. I think that would sell better than saying it was demons. I don't know if it still would sell well, but I think it would sell better.
No, that is a very good point. I appreciate that, Grady. Thank you.
I had years. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I appreciate both of you. I'm not trying to challenge you or anything.
No, not at all. It's years ago, I had an opportunity to work on a Jeffrey Dahmer project. And I did my research, I looked into it, and ultimately I passed on it. I thought it was an interesting project, but I was like, I don't want to spend a year of my life here. You know what I mean? Just in this really gross set of sleazy, terrible circumstances where real people were really injured. This was not about his killings. It was about before he began killing people. But I was like, this is horrible. And I don't want to be there for a year. These are real people. And it's a little bit how I feel about Amityville. To me, it's always colored by the DeFeo murders. And I just can't enjoy anything that has Amityville on it, because the DeFeos are the heart of it. And like you guys were saying, and I'm really glad y'all did, they were real people. They were a family. They were kids.
Yeah. When people talk about Amityville, are you thinking about the family annihilation? Yes or no? Right?
Yeah.
Cool.
No, exactly. And to me, it's like everything with Amityville on it is built on the graves of that family. I can't enjoy it. And that probably makes me, a lot of fun at parties.
Well, I'll be right there with you, Grady, because here I am.
Now, you're fun at parties for other reasons.
Thank God.
Yes.
Not my Amityville takes.
Right. My demon takes and my body.
There we go.
My dancing.
Very erotic.
Okay.
Oh, wait, we haven't rated them yet. We haven't rated them.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Okay. As Screams, I gave it a 1.
Yeah, it's not very scary.
This is probably personal bias, but I didn't find anything scary at all here. I would show this to my 11-year-old daughter and think like, oh yeah, this is a fine movie to show her.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah. Crowns, I gave it a 2 because of Brolin. Everyone out there, let's just give some praise to Brolin right now. Cross yourselves, say a prayer. Brolin, you walked where other movies could run.
Similar vein, I think I gave it 2 on Screams. It had a couple of mildly spooky things, but I was pretty bored watching it when I wasn't laughing at how bad it was. 3 out of 10 for Crowns. It was a thing that I watched, I guess.
I will give it a 2 for Screams, because I do think the visualization of the facade of that house and putting that red light through those dormer windows, it's such an iconic image, and it works. It's like I think one of y'all said it's like Jason's mask. Mm-hmm. It really is an iconic shorthand for the haunted house in 20th century. In terms of crowns, I would actually go to a 3 to a 3.5, because Kidder and Brolin, and I think the 70s drip is immaculate. When Helen Shaver, Carolyn, the psychic girlfriend, shows up, and she's got that like Afghan rug thrown over her shoulder, I'm like, oh, that is
okay. Great.
That's beautiful.
Spoke to my soul. 70s drip is now my favorite term ever.
But yeah, I think we're all giving it low ratings though, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately.
And even more unfortunately, that's a better score than I think any of its sequels would earn. So,
absolutely.
Oh man. Okay, so should we talk about how we are staying spooky? What is some other horror media that we've been consuming recently? So Max, you already talked about Idaho 4.
Yeah, first and foremost, Grady.
Oh, yes.
Where can we find you? What are you working on?
Oh,
you're a guest on this episode. Yep. Tell us all the things.
So Rednexorcist just came out, and you can get it from Blackwell's, which will ship it internationally for free. Super Scary Haunted Homeschool, you can find it on Spotify or Apple or any of your podcast ingestion platforms. And if you want any of my other nonsense, just GradyHendrix.com, and it's all right there.
And it's all great.
Thank you.
It's all Grady.
Exactly. It may not all be great, but it's all Grady.
We need a shirt. So yeah, I have been consuming the Netflix documentary about the Idaho 4. I've listened to podcasts, books. This is like, oh, I know this information. It's kind of like that Parks and Rec scene where Ron Swanson goes to the Home Depot, quote unquote, and he's like, I know more than you. That is how I feel about this story. But it's very well done. It focuses a lot on the victims, not the killer. So I would highly recommend it. Nathaniel, you and I saw Evil Dead Burn.
Yes, we did.
I can't believe we haven't talked about it yet.
How was it?
It was fun.
It was fun.
I'd say it's certainly not one of the strongest entries in the series, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos trying to connect the lore, which is a real big thing for me.
Yeah, no, you can't do that with Evil Dead.
Exactly. So I would say Rise is better. I would say the remake is better than Rise. I'm excited to see what they do with Wrath.
Yeah.
And that is all. I will leave it there.
Great.
Give me the Necronomicon.
All right. I am staying spooky. I just finished reading or listening to the audiobook of The September House by Corsa Orlando.
Oh, what'd you think?
Oh, I loved it.
It's fun.
Yeah, you blurbed it, didn't you?
Yeah. I get asked to blurb a lot of stuff, and it's pretty rare that I do it. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, yeah, guys, stop.
Yes.
Blurb? The fuck? What does that mean?
Yes.
Well, you say something like, "Oh, this book rocked my socks off." Grady Hendrix, author. They put it on the cover and stuff.
So it's Twitter for nerds.
Yeah,
I mean Twitter if you're just looking at the cover of a book.
Yeah.
Okay.
The most boring Twitter of all.
I'm just giving you both grief.
No, but yes. Nathaniel, I'm really glad you liked it because I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, very fun, fresh take on the haunted house. Just to I guess sell it to anyone who might be curious about it. It's basically a woman is just very stubborn and refuses to leave this house regardless of how haunted it is. And she's lived there for years, and now is very worried that her adult daughter is about to come visit for the first time when it's at its worst, which is the month of September. So super fun, has wonderful twists and turns, well written. It's a killer debut novel. I really, really dug it. Another thing I've been doing to stay spooky is appropriately, I've been listening to a podcast called Amityville, which is some podcasters making the very poor life decision to subject themselves to every Amityville movie. Yes,
No.
all 97 of them.
Oh my God.
I think so. To go to that, I looked online. I think there's 8 films about the DeFeos, and then 90 about the Lutzes. So
Yeah,
To your point.
yes,
yeah.
and most of them are not. I mean, like, are more just riffing off of that. But yeah, so I mean, they haven't gotten too far into the weeds yet. I think one of the most recent ones was Amityville Clown House, which sounded atrocious. But I'm really curious to see, when they get to Amityville in space and the Amityville vibrator and all of that stuff. So,
Oh yeah.
which, by the way, has the best tagline of any movie I've ever heard of, because on the poster for Amityville Horror, it's the for God's sake get out, which I think was a warning to the audience.
Yeah.
With the Amityville vibrator, it's for God's sake get off.
Oof. Man, hats off.
They went for it.
Yeah.
Grady, what have you been consuming recently?
Well, so this isn't so much spooky, but I've been really halfway through this wacky book called Fourth Wall Phantoms by a guy named Josh Kutchin. It's nonfiction, and it's from H&B, which is a really small press. I saw Josh speak up at Lilydale, which is a community in upstate New York of about 300 people that are it's a haven for psychics, and has been for over 100 years. And there's a 3-day seminar there every summer where a bunch of different people speak about their topic. I love going. It's really fun. But Josh was speaking about the subject of Fourth Wall Phantoms, which is he's really into this notion of metalepsis, which is when something fictional enters reality. Like a case in point is when stigmatics, right? People who claim they're bleeding from the wounds of Christ. It's a recognized condition in the Catholic Church. And even though people have different theories of why they're doing it, but people bleed from their palms. Well, Jesus was crucified through his wrists. The palm thing is all taken from medieval paintings of the crucifixion. So it's this place where people are believing in this fictional representation of this real life event, or perhaps not, to such a point where they're physically manifesting these symptoms. Another thing he talks about a lot is how after Predator came out in the 80s, the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, a lot of Bigfoot sightings began to incorporate aspects of Predator, including, how the Predator can have that blur effect where it camouflages itself.
Mm-hmm.
People started to report, they didn't say it was just like Predator, but they're like, oh, Bigfoot could camouflage himself by blurring. And you have this preponderance of reports, and he's really tracked this, of people incorporating this fictional thing from an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie into this real life experience they believe they've had. And I was actually talking to Joshua after his talk, and I was mentioning, I said I was so impressed by this thing on Predator and all this. And this guy was kind of listening. He goes, oh, that happened to me. And honest to God, Bigfoot can really do that. He can make himself camouflage by blurring, just like the Predator. And I was like, wow, like this completely fictional thing has completely manifested in reality. And so I'm kind of going down that rabbit hole because I think it's a terrifying idea. Like, look at the Slender Man murders, that these fictional things can actually become real. Like it's scary.
Tulpa, right?
Yeah, Tulpa. Exactly. There was a there was a group in Toronto in the 70s who documented their experience in a nonfiction book called Conjuring Philip, who created a tulpa. They were like, we're going to create a ghost and manifest it. And according to them, they did. But yeah, classic tulpa kind of thing.
Oh,
Okay,
I was just gonna say that comes up, like that's part of the premise of the book King Sorrow by Joe Hill, which was so good.
Yeah. And I curse Joe Hill because dragons mean big money in publishing, like those sexy dragons in Fourth Wing.
Mhm.
Everyone reads those books, and Joe Hill figured out a way to get a dragon into a horror novel. I'm so angry.
And it was so good too.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
This is a whole other podcast, but I'm going to say tulpas are not only demonic, they're religious.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Period.
I totally believe that.
Yeah. So we'll get into that one day.
And I mean, what is the difference? But if you talk to a kid who has a stuffed animal, that stuffed animal is real to them. If you twist off its head, you have just killed a living creature to that kid, and on the one hand, that seems like a really silly example, but then you look in medicine where people are talking, well, this patient's in a vegetative state. They are officially dead. Well, no, they're not. They still, you know what I mean? This line between what's alive and what's dead becomes really porous the more you look into it.
And what's good versus bad. People create religions out of the good, but if we look at something bad, they demonize it. So again, this is
that's why we call it demonize.
Here we go. Anyway,
knowledge.
It all came together. Okay. Well, this was an absolute delight talking about Amityville, about a whole range of awesome topics. Thank you, Grady, for joining us again. We'll have to not wait 7 years to have you back on.
I was just about to say, let's do it like 3 years. That'll be like 50% faster.
Yes.
No, it's a blast. I love talking about this stuff. So thanks for giving me an opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you want to. We definitely love your work and love having you on. Anything else that you want to cover, Max?
No, I want you back because I have some questions about the books you've written recently, Grady.
Well, ask me for next year. I'm going to be doing book promotion, so hit me up in January.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I guess to our audience, everyone, please stay spooky.
Stay spooky. We need to trademark that, but stay spooky.
Bye, y'all.